Now let's return to the latest mass shooting in the U.S. 8 people killed, including children, after a gunman opened fire at a shopping mall in Dallas, Texas. Well, for more on this, let's bring in our Rise US correspondent, Eric Ham. Eric, I want to say thank you for joining us today here on Newsday. But tell us how this attack unfolded.
Well, there's still information coming in about what actually unfolded. What we do know so far is that this young man, who has already been identified, actually arrived at the mall pretty much unannounced. We do know that he was dressed in all black, wearing a black vest with the initials RWDS, which stands for White Power Death Squad. So there are many who actually believe that he does have ties to white supremacy, or at least was affiliated somehow based on his social media followings and platforms. But in terms of the actual shooting itself, it's been noticeably very quiet, and the Texas officials have been very tight-lipped about what happened. We do know that they have interviewed his family, as well as some of the neighbors around him, and people describe him as being very quiet, very withdrawn, and they wouldn't necessarily expect him to be involved in such an event that took place. So there's still more information that we don't know about this individual, how he became radicalized, if that is in fact what actually happened. We also know that officials did go to a motel where he allegedly was staying, where they found additional weapons as well. We also heard from the governor of Texas where this mass shooting took place. And of course, we know this is the second mass shooting in as many weeks to take place in Texas. Of course, remembering another young man shot and killed a family of 5, including an 8-year-old boy, which led to a statewide manhunt. And being asked about these mass shootings, pointedly said that this was not the time to focus on actually trying to ban assault weapons in the state of Texas, but more needed to be done to address the issue of mental illness. Now, in our conversations that we have had with officials in the wake of this recent mass shooting, it's not clear if this individual had mental health issues or concerns at the time. So it's still more information is coming in about the individual himself and actually what led to this. And finally, I'll add that it's very interesting because Allen, Texas, where this shooting took place, is about 25 miles outside of the city of Dallas, but it's also home to the assailant who actually engaged in the mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, which also killed scores of people a few years back.
Noted, Eric. Thank you. And police say they're investigating the suspect's ideology and possible links to far-right groups. Do we know more now, especially considering the fact that he was also killed in the process?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we do know that they have actually combed his social media, where they did see links and engagement with a conservative, white power supremacist organizations and outlets and websites, and that he did seem to engage in that. It's very striking and interesting that he did, considering this, at least by appearance, was a Latino American or Latino, so not necessarily a white person, but that's something that's very striking. And of course, we're still waiting to ascertain from Texas officials more details about this, and to ascertain more information from his family about this as well. But that's what we have been told from the officials so far. And again, Texas officials are already more than 48 hours after this mass shooting has still been very, very tight-lipped. And we're getting a sense of what took place in Uvalde, where officials were just very tight-lipped, weren't very forthcoming with information. That's what is apparently playing out here, which is very striking as well.
Now, talk to us. In the wake of the shooting, President Joe Biden has once again called on Congress to act on banning assault-style weapons. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, and we see this because the mass shootings in the United States are now reaching record numbers. In fact, we are seeing in the United States at least one mass shooting taking place every 6 days. And right now, the United States is on pace to set a new record in terms of mass shootings. And already, as I mentioned, this is the second mass shooting to take place in as many weeks in Texas. And while we have seen other mass shootings, notably in Tennessee, which actually led to the governor to call for some form of gun control, even with this mass shooting, we still continue to see at least Republicans are unwilling to actually move on gun control. In fact, we heard from Republican Senator Ted Cruz from the state of Texas, who has already said that while his thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this shooting, he does not believe that there's anything that can be done to actually curb the number of mass shootings that continue to take place, even if it were to mean to eliminate or ban assault-style weapons. And right now, we just see that, at least on the Republican side, there is no appetite for actually doing such a thing, at least at the national level. States are beginning to actually move, albeit incrementally, where some states are moving to ban weapons. We've seen the state, Washington State, has already begun the process of doing so. But at the national level, that just hasn't happened yet.
Indeed. Thank you, Eric. Now, when looking at the numbers of, the worst mass shootings in the state since 1991, we see what happened in Las Vegas in 2017, 60 people killed, Orlando, Virginia, Sandy Hook and whatnot. Just wondering if there's a common denominator that, you might have noticed when you look at these mass shootings as they've progressed over time.
That's a really good question. And what we see is that it seems that the weapon of choice in all of these mass shootings has been an AR-15 style weapon. And that is why you have seen calls for at least a ban on assault style weapons. Now, President Biden has been very active in calling for the ban of this weapon, but we still see that there just isn't the appetite to actually move in doing so. Now, of course, since you mentioned the Las Vegas shooting, the San Bernardino shooting, and some of these other shootings, we've seen an increase in the number of mass shootings. And of course, there simply is no rhyme or reason. Some have been attributed to, of course, mental health. Others have been attributed to white supremacist ideology that we have seen, particularly if you take the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. But again, there has been no one clear indicator that has led to, of course, the overwhelming number of shootings that we continue to see play out in the United States.
I want to say many thanks to you, Arise correspondent Eric Ham, for your time here on Newsday.